What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now. Take you all the way up the lock. It is a big boy slate. We are not messing around tonight. 8 games. No, wait, it's 9 games, right? Yeah, 9 games.
Yeah.
Thankfully, DK and FanDuel, they coordinated on this one. They did not make us have to stick around and, well, in Tim's case, probably stay up all night, or at least at 10 o'clock on the East Coast. They dropped OKC and Golden State. I think that's the back half of the ESPN or TNT. I guess it's ESPN doubleheader. Steph Curry, by the way, is expected back tonight from his rest. Durant, I think, is questionable. We don't care about that. Naz Reid is also ill. I hope he's better, but he's not on our slate, so we don't care. Minnesota, Phoenix. It is a sprint slate, but a big slate. We don't get those very often, Tim. And also as far as back-to-back stuff, 5 teams involved in back-to-back stuff. I think it's the front end is Washington, Cleveland, and the T-Wolves. We don't care about the T-Wolves, so really only 2. And the back end, Golden State, we don't care about them. And then Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the only team on the back end. We saw them get the W last night versus the Lakers, the brow going down. Isn't that, that's how NBA DFS is, right? People, the brow won people some money, 48 hours ago, and he put up 20 and 10 in the first quarter, 40 and 20 for the game, and then the very next game, he resorts back to his kind of a reputation he was shaking, I think, but back to the locker room, and he's going to be gone for like a week or so. We lost Jalen Johnson for the season. I know it's not on the slate, but it's kind of a bummer. One of the ascending players in the league. You guys know Tim, Tasteful Tides. One of the best single-entry, 3-entry max players. You got Kirkwood, Kirkdiese, leader of the Juggalo Nation, coming in later, as well as Taylor Smith. Kevin Roth holding that down for crunch time. It's a Wheel Wednesday. You got to give that wheel a spin.
Oh, wow. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Well, I thought you're the one that does the rigging. Are you going to have time to rig it up? Or I don't know if you can do that or not.
That's all predetermined behind the scenes. I have nothing to do with it.
You're making some allegations at producer Steve. I don't know, or maybe it goes above him. I have no idea what's happening there. But around 6 o'clock, I guess we'll spin that wheel. Give away a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. And I'm not sure if producer Steve has dropped the post there in the Discord. If he hasn't, I'm sure he'll do so soon enough. The chat's talking about that Capella late scratch. I talked about it on the show yesterday. I didn't say. I guessed the wrong name. I said it might be Hunter, and I said Atlanta's going to do some shenanigans again in the back half of back-to-back, and they did. And don't tell me you want to be a conspiracy aluminum hat. That was not a coincidence. Like back-to-back games with Bogdanovich and then Capella, they knew what was going on. That was all part of the master plan. By the way, we just got Bogdanovich and Capella right on cue, rolled out for tomorrow. So good job, Atlanta. They're trying to get ahead of the fine, but the fine is coming. The fine is coming from Adam Silver. Speaking of which, by the way, he was kind of prompted on the show today. I don't know if you saw. I saw a clip of him and Dan Patrick today. I don't know if you saw. Dan Patrick was like, "Yeah, give me like the weirdest idea you guys have considered, like to change, to tinker with it." And Silver said, "We're talking about 10-minute quarters." Like, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Internationally, it's 10 minutes, as the game grows. But talking about 2 hours being a better TV product. But I don't think that's going to happen. And he basically said so much, like, this is just something that I like, but I don't know if anybody else really likes it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Would you like 10? They're never going to say, like I saw, why don't you just limit the games? Well, whenever the idea starts with let's take money out of our pocket, the idea is over. They're not going back to 65 games or whatever. Like, even though that would be amazing.
Yeah, I don't want them to play fewer games. Do you? You want them to play 65?
I think it would be a better product overall. I mean, it just would. And I think each individual game, obviously by math, just they would mean more. Each game would be more. There was that. I mean, it wasn't great how it happened, but there was that the lockout season where they had 55 games, and when New York played Houston, I think in the finals. I think that was the OJ year. Remember they had the OJ Bronco and the NBA finals and like a split screen in the TV. I'm showing my age.
So that must be 1994 then.
I think so, yeah. I believe that was like 50 or 55 games that season, and like every game mattered, right? But 82, whatever. But they're never going to say, well, let's call
that wouldn't solve what I think is the biggest issue, and that's tanking. Yeah. They've got to, in my opinion, they've got to, change some of these rules about the draft. Because that, to me, that's the biggest thing, is that these teams just too aggressively tank and too early on in the year. So that, I don't know. I don't think 65 games would necessarily fix the NBA's biggest problems.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't. And then I just thought it was interesting. I heard it on a clip on a pod earlier today, and it didn't sound like it's going anywhere. But let's talk about tonight. It's DFS. We care about tonight and tonight only. It is a 9-gamer. Speaking of tanking, there's a lot of tanking in order. Yeah, we have a full-out tank game. We were talking about this pre-show with Brooklyn and Charlotte. We'll have a discussion there, and of course, there's some popular pieces in that game because a lot of guys are not playing, or most are actually hurt, but some I don't know. Doesn't matter. They're just not playing. Charlotte is down to 10. We are expecting Ben Simmons to be available, so he should be back. We haven't seen him in a while. Probably not starting. But players of note that we're monitoring that are currently questionable. Some big names. Jason Tatum is probably the biggest. He's currently questionable. Seems like a good spot to rest him. They're big monster favorites against Chicago. Chicago on the road here in Boston. Levine's out for, I think they said, the next 3 games. People were speculating that was because of trade stuff, and maybe it is, but it's also because I believe he's having a child, or his significant other is having a child. So he's gone for the next several games. Who else is currently questionable we're monitoring? Oh, Mathurin and Nembhard for the Pacers. The Pacers are back in North America. Of course, they had that 2-game set with the Spurs are also back over there in France. They split a pair. Kellyo and Grady Dick are both questionable for Toronto, a team that we actively don't think they want to win. They probably don't, and they've done a terrible job. They've won too many games of late. They need to chill out. Cleveland, Sam Merrill's questionable, not terribly important, but kind of sort of it matters to some degree.
It matters a little bit.
Yeah, because Garland's out already. He's resting. LeVert's out. Okoro's out. Dean Wade is out. The path is clear for Max Strus revenge. Anything else? Yeah, Tatum, I think, is the big one.
Did you say Mathurin's questionable? I thought it was just Nembhard. Okay.
No, that dropped about an hour or so ago. Yeah, he's got an illness, so that seems you never really know with these things, but late day illness, I think that matters. We'll see.
Matters. Yep.
Yeah.
I did not see that one. Yeah, that could end up being real important if both of those guys miss.
Yeah, So we're currently projecting them in, right? And it's also a 7:00 game. If we don't know, Crunch Time's going to know, so they'll talk about it if we can't talk about it. But we can just speculate. Anything big picture wise as far as a slate you wanna dig into, because Washington Toronto to me is one of the more interesting games, which I hate, but that's, and again it's just kind of some wonkiness when it comes to predictability. Sarr's out. We know Sarr is out for Washington, which means the path is clear for the revenge game / showcase game for Jonas Valanciunas. Probably gets moved. Like, why wouldn't they move Jonas Valanciunas so they can get anything for him? We're assuming he's going to draw the start. Anything else you want to say worthwhile before De'Aaron Fox, another guy that's supposedly being dangled out there? Spurs, that's probably one of the more interesting landing spots that's been thrown out there, which, I mean, imagine him and Wemby. That could be pretty fun. But, yeah, anything we should dive into before we do the old game-by-game deal?
Yeah, not too much stuff from a macro perspective because this is kind of a sprint slate. We don't have to worry about backloading our lineups that much. I would say, though, if we're getting to 6:58 Eastern, 6:59 Eastern, and we still haven't gotten Celtics news, maybe that's something to hold out for because, like you said, and I agree with you, I think this is a good spot to rest Tatum. And that would end up being really, really strong value that we need to be waiting for. So, that's something to watch out for. But I'm guessing that we'll have the news before 7. The Celtics are usually pretty decent. I'm totally with you about that Toronto-Washington game. And there's a couple other games that we could talk about too. I mean, this is a pretty good GPP slate, and there doesn't seem to be there's not a ton of news. So I think that we're going to be able to handle this pretty well.
I combined stories, by the way. Bomb Squad in chat saying that was the 99 season. Yes, the 99 season was the one that had the strike, only 50 games. It did have New York in the finals, which made me think of the OJ one, but that was New York taking on who did they take on? They took on somebody else. Was it Houston? I think it was Houston in New York in like 93, 94. So, yeah, that was the 1999 season where it was just 50 games and every game mattered that much more. All right, let's do it. Let's go ahead and dive right on in. First game we'll talk about. Sprint Slate, there are 3 games at 7 o'clock. Do hit that like button and subscribe and turn on those notifications. Yeah, do all those things. We'd appreciate all that to help us keep the lights on. Pacers, I didn't really love this game. We'll talk about it, but they can get more interesting, like you said. If we lose a couple pieces here for the Pacers, 232 is the total. It is a pretty nice, healthy number. Pacers are 7-point favorites. Who's in and who's out? Well, for Detroit, nothing's changed for Detroit's injury report. It feels like in a long time. It's just Aiden Ivey, who probably is out for the year. They haven't announced that, but doesn't seem like he's coming back anytime soon. Pacers, we have an illness for Mathurin and a spine for Nembhard. They're both questionable. Everything else, nothing new there. But yeah, how do you feel about the Pacers and the Pistons?
Yeah, so I ran Sims before the show, and I'm kind of looking at my players and my team exposures, and I was really surprised that I got so little of Cade Cunningham. I think that this is a pretty good pace-up spot for him. He's 10-2, and I only got to 6% of him, which is hardly anything at all. So he's definitely not simming out well. I would try to get above that 6% number, though. I think he's a really, really solid GBP play. I think he's got a really nice ceiling in this matchup. So I don't hate the likes of Cade Cunningham. But other than, we'll talk about, but center is really strong today. I don't mind the matchup for Jalen Duren, but he's not really something I'm that interested in. Whereas Cade, I am pretty interested in, and I think you could take a shot on Cade in single entry too, not just like large field. I really like this matchup for him, and it looks like nobody's going to play.
He's going to make 1% in single entry.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally 1%. It's not hyperbole,
right?
Everybody's going to play Ty Jerome at point guard, and
right.
Of course you can play more than one, and we'll get to it. But Jerome's going to be outrageous as far as his ownership. I just don't really fit. It doesn't really fit the build. As far as
it definitely does not fit the build, but I think it's a good way to build out in a different way and still have a really, really high ceiling. So it's certainly not a safe play, but I think he's a worthwhile play in any format.
Biggest ownership right now we have currently on DK is Pascal Siakam coming in at 10%. You mentioned Duren at 9%, but you also mentioned just how cluttered centers are, all the way at the bottom, all the way at the top. So I think it's really going to be hard to get the Duren. I'm not saying you can't play him, and it's always tricky with his minutes, but he has those ceiling games when he gets those 30 minutes or so, where Beef Stew gets 7 fouls. I guess not 7. I guess he would get 6, or he get ejected. He gets ejected a lot. He's one of the top guys when it comes to techs as well. Yeah, Halliburton's another guy that's not going to be owned too. I guess it will adjust to some degree if we happen to lose Nembhard and Mathurin. If those guys are out, I don't think we have an if-then setup for them. We had an if-then setup for Boston, but just is there anything you're on alert for if both the questionable players for the Pacers, that would be Mathurin and Nembhard, if they both are out?
I would like to see what they give for
Nesmith?
Minutes projection to Nesmith or Ben Shepherd. I think he's really, really cheap. See what kind of minutes they give somebody like Shepherd or Nesmith. I also think that would put Halliburton maybe in play as well, because somebody's going to have to score here, right? So I know if we lose Nembhard and Mathurin, all of a sudden Indiana becomes incredibly thin. So, guys like Nesmith, Shepherd, I'll wait to see what the projections team says about their minutes. But really, I think you got to look pretty hard at Halliburton.
Yeah, you mentioned Shepherd. I don't have any minutes. We have other value plays. Unless he's projected for 30 or so, which I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. These guys might end up playing anyway. There's really no sense in speculating right now. But let's go ahead and move on. We both kind of teased. We kind of talked about Toronto and Washington. It's high. It's kind of, sort of, somewhat tight. 230 is the total. Toronto is a 5.5 point favorite here in Washington. The Wizards, I believe, have lost 14 in a row, which is just incredible stuff. Toronto is still the 6th worst team in basketball as far as the old Tankathon, despite winning 4 in a row. They want to put a stop to this winning streak, but good luck doing that against Washington. Do you want the list of who's in and who's out? Here we go. It's going to be a good one. Well, Washington, nothing really new with the exception of Sarr. I mentioned Sarr is out, so we're presuming Joval jumps in that starting lineup. Poole, Coulibaly, George, Kuzma. Joval, we saw Kuzma. I'd love to get your take on this, and there's really no way of quantifying it, but you saw that quote with Kuzma said, like, yeah, I'm tired of, like, I don't really care about the team. I don't whatever sort of like grooming these players. I'm just going to play my own game. And his own game stinks, by the way. But like, he has those moments. He's just so untrustworthy. As far as Toronto, but like, he projects pretty decently. Because the price is kind of down, and in theory, if he plays 30 minutes, it's just you never really. There's Washington. They're the worst team in basketball by a good bit. And the other part of it is, like I say, Washington's a Tankathon game. They have 4 games on everybody. They're 6-39. They're in the driver's seat, right? Utah is 4 games behind them with 10 wins. I mean, Washington might not win 10 games the entire season, so they don't necessarily have to tank. The tanking takes care of itself. And if they have to pump the brakes later on in the season, so be it. If they win like a 1-game winning streak. But right now, that really shouldn't be a concern. As far as Toronto, who's in, who's out, I did mention that, Scotty Barnes is going to be somewhat popular, right? Pirtle's one of those centers I think we like, but not on the podium necessarily. Maybe. But what if Grady Dick doesn't play? He's questionable with an illness, and everyone knows how that's going to go down. And again, Toronto probably doesn't want to win this game. And Kelly O is questionable, and he's a vet. He's got a calf. If we lose Kelly O, Boucher's kind of interesting.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you want to start with Toronto, Washington? I guess Joval's the place to really start, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can start with Joval. 5,400, projecting for around 25% ownership, projected for 35 fantasy points at 5,400. Looks like an absolute like smash play. Definitely a center that you should be getting a lot of in single entry, in large field. I think he's probably going to be one of your cash game centers, as weird as that sounds. Yes, I know that the minutes can be a little bit volatile, but I think we can trust them somewhat tonight. And even if he doesn't get like the absolute, max that we have projected for, like, I still think he could pay off that $5,400 price tag. So I'm pretty high on Joval. And I think another Washington piece for value would be Kaishan George at 4K. He rates out pretty well. I think he's an okay play for GPP. I never know what to do with Kyle Kuzma. I never get him right.
I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Luckily, I only play 1 to 2 teams a night, and I very rarely have to consider him. I did read that quote though. Very, very.
Yeah.
Not
a team player.
Definitely not a team player. I'm not really sure what to think about that, but yeah, I mean, it's. I think I'll just be staying away from Kuzma, but if you want to get to some, if you're playing 10 teams or so, you put him in 1 or 2. I think that's completely fine. He definitely does have a ceiling at 6,200. So Jordan Poole's kind of similar. He certainly has a ceiling, but I don't really have that much interest in this Washington team outside of Valanciunas.
2 games ago, 46 points for Poole against the Clippers, 45.5. I rounded up for some reason. But Mathurin and Nembhard are both out. We'll circle back.
That's good. Interesting.
Yeah. And Poole put up 56 against Phoenix. So there's a ceiling. And just not last game, but the game before, we saw Kuzma put up a big number as well. So
Yeah.
These guys can do it.
Yeah, I mean, we say that Kuzma's not very good, and that's probably true. But then all of a sudden, he puts up like 55 fantasy points against the Suns. You know, it's pretty weird and sporadic about what he can do, which is why I wouldn't fade him completely if I had like a portfolio of teams. But in single entry and 3-max, I can't justify it.
You were mentioning this before the show. You were talking about Toronto, their defense of late. Was the last 7 games or so best defensive team in basketball, basically since Quickly went bye-bye, which is probably not a coincidence. Does that matter to you as far as like in Washington, like the worst defense, but Toronto being the better defensively? I assume they're not the best defensive team. It's small sample stuff, but they're not like a sieve, I guess, is what you were saying.
Yeah, they're really not a sieve ever since Quickly went down. But I mean, I think they'll definitely regress a little bit here. They're not going to be like the best defensive team all season, but it's definitely does make me want to be a little bit more bearish on the Wizards.
Do you like this game as like a little stack, a little 2 and 2? Little left.
No, so that's the thing. I really not a 2 and 2.
Okay, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it because it's relatively inexpensive. Grady Dick's questionable. If he were to miss, would it be Agbaji? You think starts for him?
Well, I tell you, I this goes against everything. I kind of like Bruce Brown. They've been giving him more minutes of late. He's a guy that almost definitely is out the door, right? I think he's a vet that can help somebody. And people talk about showcase games all the time. Like, these execs, they know the players, right? They didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, well, De'Aaron Fox, he's on the market. Let's see if this guy's any good. They know who they are. And Bruce Brown's been hurt basically all season, but 29 minutes, 27 minutes his last 2 games. And the point is, if showcase games are real, let's just pretend for a second they are. I don't know if they are or aren't. What team would you want to showcase your player against that you're about to trade? I would want to showcase them against Washington. So, I don't know. And he's cheap enough. I like Bruce Brown at 4-5, and I think his role will get a little bit more solidified if we lose Dick. He might have grabbed a few extra minutes last time because Dick was in foul trouble. Yeah. Also, he's got a fabulous mustache in his picture on DraftKings. I don't know.
Wow.
It's gotta be worth. I don't know if you have the DK open right now. That's got to be worth a couple points. Put that in the algorithm.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he already rates out as a very strong play with all those guys in. So, and we're projecting him for 24 minutes. So I don't mind that take at all. I still don't want to do a 2 and 2 from this game.
You like Barnes, right? Or Barrett and Barnes both look good. No.
I mean, I'm definitely. I do like Barnes quite a bit.
Okay.
I like Barnes. I don't mind the Brown call. I love Jakob Poeltl. I think he's a fantastic play today. I don't mind playing both the centers from this game.
He's a center, but he's a center.
I know, but play both centers.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do.
Which is what I'm getting at, 2 and 2. I'm not for sure like it's going to be Barnes and Brown.
Right, but who's your second Wizard? That's the problem, right?
Well, it might be Poole. I don't hate Koulibaly. He's going to play a ton of minutes. Somebody in chat mentioned Keyshawn George, and I don't want to play him. In theory, he masks out all right, but I don't think I want to play him. Probably one of Koulibaly, Kuzma, or Poole. And I don't want to. I want to make it clear: if I play Kuzma, I'm not happy about it, but I might do it. Yeah. It just feels like a fun little game stack. And Barnes or Barrett, you have a preference amongst those two?
I'm assuming Koulibaly guards Barrett, so I prefer Barnes.
Yeah, kind of running the point as well.
I could exactly, and Barnes is more the point guard too. I could be wrong about Koulibaly guarding Barrett, but I would prefer Barnes. I'm not really that high on Barrett in this game.
No, huh? Okay. Just I just like anybody against Washington as like a general rule.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
know?
I don't mind that.
And this stuff can change if we lose Kelly O and if we lose Dick. That's probably 45 minutes or so a projection that would have to get delegated. Dick's getting 24, Kelly O 14. So I rounded up a little bit, but Boucher currently 17. He can get there in 17. I don't really want to. If you told me that's all he's getting, I'm probably not doing it. But he gets hot. He has those moments where he looks like the best player in the world for like 3 minutes. Big man who can step out of the three. Swatter boy. He can get some blocks as well. But I would really want Kelly O to be out. And would they play? Do they play Boucher and Pirtle together? Is that something they've done? Just trying to think I wonder if we can run a court IQ in that. Have they ever played together? They might have played together some this year, right? I assume they have. What do you think, Tim?
I'm curious. I can look at their last game real quick.
Well, I'm pulling it up for the seasons. I'm going to put them on the court IQ, put them both on the courts, and let's see if they played any minutes. I would say they probably cross paths to some degree. But I'm just trying to think if Kelly O is out. Can we project more than 48 for those two combined? I probably wouldn't play both of them in the same lineup either way, officially. Okay, let's see. Let's see if they played together at all this season. Yeah, okay, 228 minutes. They played a lot together.
Yeah.
That's something they can do. Anything else we should note here, or shall we scoot along?
I think we should scoot along.
All right, we go from one tankathon game to maybe the bigger tankathon game, right? Brooklyn and Charlotte, 205.5. Like, neither one of these teams want to score. They might score in their own bucket. You never know. They're 4-5 right now in the tankathon. Brooklyn is a 7-8 point favorite. LaMelo's obviously out for a while. Did you see how he got hurt, by the way? Backpedaling on a three. He kind of like celebrating hitting the three. Just this guy always getting hurt.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
just brutal. So who knows how long he's going to be out for? Of course, they lost Brandon Miller for the entire season. Josh Green is out. Trey Mann is out. Cody Martin's out. Saloon is out. And then they ruled out Mark Williams for injury management. And you ask, well, they played yesterday? No, they didn't. You ask, will they play tomorrow? No, they don't. But they play Brooklyn tonight, and they don't want to win a basketball game. So that's why they're going to be starting, most likely, Taj Gibson, backed up by Diabate. Oh, Brooklyn, it looks like that we're going to have Ben Simmons back. He's off the injury report, probably not starting. We're not projecting him to start. Clowney, though, is going to be out for a bit. He hurt himself. He hurt his ankle. No Cam Johnson, no Cam Thomas. Who knows when we'll see those guys, if ever, for Brooklyn. So, again, these teams, I don't know how many minutes you can give Russell, but they kind of push his minutes down, right? He's been good enough as is. The total is not very appealing. Charlotte just has 10 guys. That includes Daquan Jeffries and Kenneth Simpson and Seth Curry. So, Miles Bridges is going to project really well. Also, Taj Gibson, that's another guy that you start whittling it down. It's like, okay, so Nick Smith looks really good. Mitchell looks pretty good. Okogie, we're assuming he jumps in the starting lineup. He projects pretty well. A lot of front loading, but again, it is a kind of a sprint slate. It's an 9-gamer. Last game locks at 8, so it's not like you can necessarily backload a ton. Maybe you want to wait for Tatum stuff if we don't know that by 7. Is that 7:30 or 8 o'clock? 7:30.
7:30.
Yeah. Brooklyn and Charlotte. What do you got?
So, I mean, I do not have much interest in Brooklyn at all. I'm getting to them the least out of any team in Sims right now by a good margin. Russell's price has gotten away from us, I think. So he's just too expensive now. I really don't want to play anyone from Brooklyn. I think they're pretty easy X button. Charlotte, on the other hand, we're getting to a ton of, whether it be Diabate, Nick Smith, Okogie is definitely a fine value play at 4,300. And then we talked about a pre-show about what to do with Diabate. Center is just so loaded today. And do you want to take Do you want to get 30 points out of your center position? And he's going to be really, really highly owned, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if Diabate is really, really good chalk. I know that he's simming well. He just makes me the most nervous out of all the cheap Charlotte players. So I'm not really sure. Like, if you're playing cash games, that's absolutely fine. But like, I think in large field, you should be getting underweight Diabate.
Yeah, and we would talk about the stuff we focus on. A lot of people don't get too ambitious when it comes to single entry, 3-entry max contests. So we're seeing, and by the way, I think it's going to be closer than this. We currently have Diabate at 51% on DK, and that's because he's 3.7, and Joval at 5.4 at 27%. I think that closes a little bit. I don't think it's going to be that much of a gap. Do you agree with that? Am I wrong? I don't think Diabate.
You were comparing Diabate and Joval.
Yeah, I don't think Diabate is going to be almost twice his own, like 51%. He might be 51%, but I just think Joval is going to be higher. And I think it opens up all the big name centers that are going to be kind of lost. And of course, FanDuel's even trickier because you can only roster one over there. But
Right.
I think Joval is going to be higher than 27%. Is the point I'm making. Basically,
Interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think people love playing him when he gets unleashed. And we assume he's going to get unleashed. And we assume he's going to draw the start. There's some guys, was it Rashawn Holmes lurking behind him, I guess. But I do think that I think that's going to get higher. But your question about Diabate, and again, not starting, but it's going to be a fake start for Taj. We're assuming that's how it was last time.
Yeah.
He's not an offensive force. He's not somebody that's going to hit a bunch of threes. Like, he can get like 15 rebounds and 12 points and some stocks. But, and you know what his usage is? Do you want to guess what it is? I bet you it's lower than what you guess.
I bet it's really low. Like 11.
It's in the single digits. His usage is 9%.
Okay.
And that's not really how he makes his fantasy points, right? Like, he gets his points mostly through blocks and stocks. And like, if he scores, it's on putback stuff, right? Or an alley-oop. Yeah. So I don't know what he can put up that, like, I just get completely buried. And again, for cash games, sure, of course, like, play Diabate. Now on FanDuel, you only get the roster one. I'm not playing cash games over there. I don't know if I would play him in cash games. I'm not saying you can't. That's just a path. And
he's in our first optimal.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would do it.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not
just
sure
because Joval's right there, and I think Joval's just got a little bit, better. He's got a better ceiling. You got to pay a little more for it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Joval on the year is what 1.33 FanDuel, 1.37 per minute. That's better than Jaylen Brown. Just naming a player. It's elite. He's got to get on the court. And even just giving him 27 minutes, I think he's well positioned. So, and then that's not even to speak of, and we'll get into it, like Joker and Cat and Gafford, and you mentioned Pirtle. That's why I think center is how you win this slate, and I don't think you win this slate by playing Diabate. You might stay in this.
I lean to agree with you on that. Really, I don't think Diabate is going to win you this slate. Yeah, and there's so many good centers on the slate, in all price ranges. We talked about, Pirtle. I love Gafford for GPPs. Mm-hmm. I really like Sabonis. Mr. Richard just brought that up in chat. Sure. I really like Sabonis in GPPs today. I think he's another guy, similar to like Cade Cunningham, that nobody's going to be playing single entry, that definitely has the ceiling and the matchup to absolutely smash. So, I mean, I really like Sabonis for large field stuff. But yeah, Diabate is definitely your cash game guy. I mean, he's showing up in both DK and FanDuel first optimal.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that. I just I'm a little bit concerned about. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think he wins you a GPP today.
Yeah, like Donnie's is asking if he's optimal. Like, he might end up in the optimal, because that's possible. And it's also kind of a two-part question, because it's not like, does Diabate, is he optimal when he scores 33 points or 32 points or 31, whatever it is? It's, okay, what did Cat do? If Joker puts up an 89 or if Cat puts up a 75, right?
Yep.
You know, and Joel puts up 45. You don't want that 35 from Diabate. It's not that it's bad, right? But, you know, again, now you have some salary to play with, and let's say you rostered Jim Harden instead, and he puts up like 90 because that's what opened up some salary free. It's a push-pull. But I'm pretty comfortable. I think I am. I don't want to speak in definitive, but the plan right now is to not play Diabate in one of my main like single entry contests, and because I think he's also gonna be like 70% there, you know, and then I could be a little bit more chalky around it, you know, just whatever I pivot to, whatever I change to. Maybe it's a Pirtle, like you were talking about Pirtle. Maybe I do Pirtle and Joval. I just stack the centers in that game, but I'm pretty sure I'm not playing him in one of my main single entry contests, and you know, it's not a besmirch. I just don't know if that ceiling is going to get me there.
What do you think about? Because I really like Miles Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
But I just hate the pace of this game. I hate the total. It's a 205 total. It's so low. Because I think he's interesting leverage off of Diabate. Interesting leverage off of guys like Nick Smith. Also, I mean, he's only coming in with like around 10% on DK, a little bit higher on FanDuel, but still 8,200. I really liked him today, but then I started kind of like, you know, breaking down the slate and the whole, you know, total and the pace of this game is so awful. Kind of talking myself off of it. Wondering what your thoughts are on Miles Bridges.
Again, I kind of lean back on, I don't think Charlotte really wants to win this game. And if they did, they'd play Bridges like 37 minutes and let him take every shot. And that might happen. I don't know. They might, because somebody has to win. Both teams can't lose. I think he's really interesting for tournaments. I'm surprised he's only 10% on DK. I'm very surprised by that. Much better play on FanDuel, where he's like $500 less. FanDuel is a cash game play, and I think you can play him in cash on DK. It's like if you fall into it. But I've kind of gone back and forth on it because I just don't trust these teams. I'm not trusting that they're going to play Bridges 35 plus minutes.
Do you trust Okogie?
You know, I don't think he breaks me. I think he's fine. You know, I think he plays 25 to 28 minutes, something like that. But they're going to play Jeffries. Curry's going to get some run. You're not playing these guys. You know, Wong will get 17 to 20 minutes or so. Simpson's a guy that like could be interesting. If you're running 150, he would probably be my pool. I wouldn't play him at Micic. I'd split those guys. But like, you know, you don't really think, you know, he's a 1 in 150, super ambitious play. I'm okay with Okogie, but I'm also kind of hesitant because of the game environment to try not to get too much Charlotte. If you can't tell that's what I'm saying. I'm trying not to get too much Charlotte. And I think, well, actually, you know what? We got new projections for the Pacers. I wonder how much the Pacers, if at all, their new situation, if that changes things. Are we going to have less Charlotte hitting optimals? Shall we circle back? We are projecting Shepherd to start with Naismith, by the way. Halliburton, Shepherd, Naismith, Pascal, and Miles Turner. And let's see, our Pacers minutes now. Pascal, 34. By the way, Halliburton, I really like at 34 minutes. Turner, 32. Shepherd, 28, but he's a terrible fantasy point guard player. He barely is getting 18 as a median projection. Naismith.
Olenek and Grady Dick out.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Because they don't want to win. Why would they play?
I know.
Yeah. Of course they're – yeah, I mean, they can't play. Again, Toronto, they've won 4 in a row. They got to stop this. So, and like you're facing Washington who can't win. So, yeah, I didn't think those guys were going to play. Maybe Bruce Brown's going to project well.
Yeah, Bruce Brown really is going to project well now.
Yeah.
I wonder how many more minutes we give him. He was at 24.
I would say 28, 29, but that's he was at 24. Dick at 24. Agbaji will grab some, but I don't think he becomes really all that playable, but like not math playable, but I guess playable,
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what the projections do, but anything else we should say as far as we're spending a lot of time in these games, but I think these are some of the important games. We'll
definitely.
In a second.
Yeah.
You got anything else as far as Brooklyn, Charlotte? Shall we talk about some real basketball teams? Denver taking on New York.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite games on the entire slate. So let's talk about this game.
What's great, yeah, it's high and tight, 241.5. That is a monster number with rotations you can trust. New York is a 3.5-point favorite, and players that aren't going to get played, right? It's high, tight, rotations you can trust with players that are not going to be played for reasons. As far as who's in and who's out for this one, Denver, nothing new with Denver. New York, Josh Hart's questionable, but he's been playing through this questionable for a while now. Probably give a refresh as far as ownership. Like Joker's not going to be played. I guess Cat to some degree. We talk about just the path of centers today are so clearly, math at least is saying Joval, Diabate first, and then Joval. But what do we have these guys? So like 5%, if that, for Denver. Let's see. Well, Cat we have at 14%. Okay. We have Joker at 8. Westbrook 12, Murray at 12. Good price on Murray. Brunson 12, Hart, we assume he's going to play 10%. Talk to me about this game. You said you like it. I like it too. I'm just having a hard time like making it work, but I'm going to try to force something.
I think we're going to have so much value on the slate. It's going to be so easy to play. I think whoever we want, really.
Okay.
Not saying that you have to play Jokic, but is it really going to be like 8% owned? I would want to get over that in GPP. Play like 20%. You'll be double the field. I know that Towns has done well against Jokic defensively, but I think that's mostly just noise. Jokic can smash anyone. So I think taking shots on Jokic is a really, really smart idea in GPPs. I really like Jamal Murray in any format at 7.3. On the other side of this game, though, I think Jalen Brunson is a fantastic GPP play. I also like guys like OG and Hart. I'm getting to a lot of this game in Sims. This is the most owned game outside of the chalky Charlotte and Cleveland teams. That it's like Denver and New York, right around that same kind of like Washington ownership. I think this game is probably I think this game is the best game on the entire night. We talk about like high and tight, right? It's a 242 total, a 3-point
and tight rotations.
Tight rotations. This is exactly what we want in NBA DFS. We know exactly who's going to be on the court, and that's a super, super valuable thing. So I think this game has a ton of value in it. And you got guys like Russ and Brown and Michael Porter Jr. are going to go completely unowned. That I think are really, really strong large field GPP plays. I would be getting to a ton of this game if I was I'm going to get to at least 2 players from this game in single entry. If I was playing 20 teams, I'd be getting to at least 1. In probably at least 2 in this game in every team.
There are 7 players in this game projected for 36 minutes or more.
Exactly.
Just to kind of talking about again, you gotta. What are we watching, by the way? Is that Cat? That's what we're watching?
That was quite the noise. I don't even know what that was.
What is producer Steve doing? He's a New York fan, so he's pumping up his New York guys.
It's a clip from 2014 of Cat dunking on a defender at a camp, and that defender turned out to be Nikola Jokic.
Oh, really?
He's owned him since 2014. Tim, it's not just noise.
It's
Steve chiming in. We'll see Steve in about 10, 15 minutes or so. By the way, it's spinning that wheel. If you guys did not jump in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/live-stream chat. Hit the avatar.
They're only at 40 likes.
Oh, Jesus. Unbelievable. Yeah, we know the deal. If you get to 100 likes, we spin the wheel twice. You get a week free of RJ Premium. Not just basketball, football, baseball, hockey, soccer, MMA, PGA. Tim, I read your hockey stuff today. You didn't pump up my Panthers at all. I was very disappointed. But
they're playing new lines tonight, Dean.
They got to shake things up.
They really shook things up.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But get in the Discord channel and hit that avatar. Get your name on the wheel. We'll spin that wheel about 15 minutes. Give away a week free of premium. Who are your two? Like, I'm not going to hold you to it, but who are the two players? It sounds like you like Brunson. He's kind of pricey.
Joker, no, I think I'm like 90% sure I'll be playing Jamal Murray.
Okay.
And then one of like Bridges, Hart, OG. Not really sure which one of those three.
They're asking
probably
you
probably OG. Probably OG.
You got hockey questions coming in the chat now. Caleb Martin officially ruled out. I don't. Do we know about that? Do we care about that? Yeah. I think we kind of assumed. Yeah, for Philadelphia. I don't know if he was questionable or not.
He was. Yeah, he was projected in.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about Sacramento and Philly. 232 is the total. Philly back half of a back-to-back. I believe Drummond is off the injury report, right? I'm not saying. Am I making that up?
I think he's out.
Oh. You know what? I must have misread something. But not that I'm playing Drummond, but let's go ahead and read the injury report. Yeah, okay, he's still out with his toe. Embiid, of course, is still out. Paul George got a finger, so he can't play. Martin officially ruled out. KJ Martin ruled out as well. McCain done for the year. Bummer. I saw he's learning Spanish. He's doing some things in his off time. And there's something else he was learning. He's using his time wisely. As far as Sacramento, it's nothing new. They have Fox on the market, allegedly. They've we saw this one coming with Sacramento. They kicked it. I'm curious if we're projecting. And Kevin Huerter, 12 minutes, but he had a DNP CD the other day. It's been a rough.
He disappeared quickly, didn't he?
Yeah, it's been a kind of it's kind of like been slowly getting there, and Keon Ellis taking more and more minutes away, and Monk taking more minutes away. But yeah, it's not been great out there in Sacramento. Philadelphia's been playing better of late. You mentioned Sabonis. Tricky part again, he's a center, and center is I want to roster 5 of them tonight. Let me roster 6. Can I roster 6? But we can only roster 2 on DK, 1 on FanDuel. Kings, Philly, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm probably fading Sabonis, but I absolutely love him in GBPs. He's got like a 16 rebound prop. He should absolutely smash in this spot against the interior of the 76ers at 9-9. He's only going to be around, 10 to 15% owned. So I love him in GPPs. I guess, what do we do with De'Aaron Fox here at 8K? I think he's okay, but I don't love it. I think Maxey, I think his price is a little bit too high. Like, I know he's an amazing scorer, but at 9-8, you need a lot of points to pay off that.
He's got to score. He's got to score.
I think the best play in this game is Kelly Oubre at 6,100.
Yeah,
should play huge minutes. Pretty decent matchup for him as well. I was pretty high on Justin Edwards earlier in the day. Now I think we have better value, but I think he's at least could be worth a couple shots in GPPs. So I guess Edwards is okay value. I have no interest in either one of these benches at all.
I don't either. Yeah, it was nice to see Edwards. You mentioned Edwards. He started and mopped. You don't get those too often. He did that last night. He needed the mopping to kind of get there last night. Not that he even fully got there, but so he's probably a guy that would start and probably mop up. But he also can lose minutes too, like Ricky Council. But there's really not much else on that bench, right? And a couple olds and Lowry and Arjax. How much are they going to play in the back end? So there's going to be pretty tight rotation. I like the Oubre call. We're giving him 36 minutes, and
this is a great spot for Oubre. I think he's like a top overall play. You can play him in catch games. You can play him in large field. I think he's a fantastic play.
I think we're kind of undervaluing the Caleb Martin thing because we're giving him 27 minutes. And where are those minutes going to go, right? I guess because we're giving 11 to Lowry, Doughton getting 3 like hedge minutes, 8 to Arjax, Bona, just to back up stuff behind you. Yabusele, maybe Council grabs a few. Gordon 27. I don't know how much more he can get beyond that on the back end of a back-to-back. He was pretty good last night. It's the most minutes Gordon can play. Can he play he played 31 last night. Okay. He played 38 versus Cleveland. Good Lord. I missed that. And he played the next night, played 29 minutes. Okay. I'm just trying to figure where these minutes go. But I guess they'll be dispersed and not one guy amongst that group necessarily jumps up. But I agree, though. You said the best call, point per dollar is Oubre, and I'm with you on that. Anything else of note for Sacramento, Philly, or shall we move on?
I think we can move on.
All right. Cleveland taking on my Miami Heat. It's 224.5 is the total. Cleveland's a 6-point favorite. Despite missing some dudes, a lot of wings, especially. They're resting Garland. Garland's not playing basketball tonight. LeVert is still out with his wrist. Dean Wade. There's no D Wade tonight in Miami. He's got a knee. He's probably going to be out for a bit. Okoro, one of their better defending wings, is also out. And Sam Merrill is ill. He's questionable. Not that he matters a ton, but their line, they will be pretty thinned out. And that's
it would just solidify those minutes for those guards, I think.
Yeah, like Ty Jerome, we're projecting him to start, and he's been really, really good. His price is not caught up with how well he's been performing. And, yeah, he looks like one of the best plays on the slate. But, again, their bench is Yang, Merrill, who's questionable, Jalen Tyson, Tristan Thompson, Craig Porter, and Amoni Bates. This is going to be a really, really tight rotation for Cleveland if they lose Merrill. For Miami, of course, Jimmy Butler. We may or may not ever see him again in a Miami uniform. He's not playing one, not wearing one tonight. Jaquez is good to go with his he had a tummy ache, but he's available. Duncan Robinson also, he has a head and illness, but he's good to go as well. So Miami pretty clean with the exception of Butler. So Cleveland, Strus revenge. Miami made him a lot of money. He should not be angry at Miami. They made him a lot of money. They developed him into a good player. The old Heat culture. How do we feel about the Cavs in Miami? Are we leaning into this Ty Jerome chalk?
Yeah, I think we got to lean into it. He's going to play a ton of minutes. He's really cheap. Not the best matchup in the world, but I think he's going to be fine. 4,400, getting into a ton of him in Sims. Projected for close to 30 fantasy points. So, he's a smash point per dollar play. Have a lot more faith in him over guys like, Diabate. I think Ty Jerome is pretty close to a must play. He would be a 3 out of 3 play for me in a 3 max setting. I'd definitely plan on getting overweight the 50% projected ownership right now in large field.
Pulling up their minutes. Mitchell 33, Allen 31, Mobley 30, Strus 30, Jerome 28. Even at 28, he looks awesome. They are giving Yang 24, but 23 Merrill minutes. Where would they even? I guess a couple more probably. And all it's game dependent. Cleveland has found ways. They've been in a lot of blowouts too, so they tend to not stretch their guys out as far as minutes. But maybe if this game stays close, they're willing to do it tonight. There's really not many. I can't imagine Porter gets much more than 20 unless something goofy happens. And Thompson, those are kind of edge minutes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. You never really know. 3 minutes for him, but wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play at all. Miami is. I like Tyler Hero for FanDuel. His price is really good over there. He's 8.8 on DK. I think he's 8.2 on FanDuel. Lost in this terrible season for Miami. The nonsense. Bam's kind of regressed a little bit. Jimmy, of course, a disaster. Tyler Hero leading, career highs in minutes, points, rebounds, assists, career highs across the board. Look at his assists lately, 7, 8, 9, 10, in his last 4, something like that. It's off the dome, but he's been getting a lot of assists of late. I think he's a really interesting tournament player. I don't know if I'm getting to him in DK. I don't make a lot of lineups, and he's not cheap. There's some sticker shock. 8.8, Tim. 8.8 for Tyler Hero.
I can't do that.
Kind of justified it. Like if you look at the old game log deal, and again, no Jimmy. He's going to be asked to do a lot once again. He was awesome against Orlando. I guess that was double overtime, so it's kind of cheating. But I think he's got. I would be over him on DK. I would be over both DK and FanDuel. And he's not going to be terribly popular on DK. FanDuel, I think he's going to grab like 5 or 10%, something like that, just because the price is better. 15 we currently have him at. Bam at 12. That's because on FanDuel, so Ware is center and center only, but Bam is center power forward on FanDuel.
Same thing on, I think, DK.
Yeah.
He's Bam finally has power forward.
Yeah, which is like, I don't know why they don't give Ware. Whatever, man. They can just give them both. They're kind of bouncing around, I guess. But anyways, anything else?
Do you like Ware today, Dean?
He's a center.
I know that's the issue, and he's right around that same balance, kind of middle of the road price tag too.
I'll tell you where I like him on Yahoo. He's $14, which is way too cheap. So if you're playing on Yahoo, he projects really well over there, and Valanciunas is $24. I think 24, 25, and Ware is 14. That's it. I mean, like, it's weird. I don't know how they came to that. But
can you play 2 over there? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boston is not helping us out. They're telling us our guys.
That news might come, I guess, after 7 now.
Yeah, they're going to give us a starting lineup at 7:00.
Yeah.
And Boston not above shenanigans we saw last time with Horford kind of pulling a Atlanta. This is an epidemic. We saw it with Atlanta with the nonsense with Capella, the nonsense with Bogdanovic. And then what Horford was, they said he was going to either play or not. There was no issue with him, and they just ended up not playing at all. And at the end of the game, they talked about his toe, and what Cornette started and played pretty well. And Tatum is questionable. I don't know. I assume Horford's back. The big one, of course, is Tatum, and we'll kind of talk about that. Should we talk about that game now, or shall we do the old wheel? You want to spin the wheel now?
Oh, let's do the wheel.
Okay.
How many likes do we have?
I don't know. Steve's going to jump on here in a second. I assume, either you got in or you got out, but you missed the boat at this point because he's not going to be compiling names. What's up, Steve? You have enough likes to spin the wheel twice or not so much?
No, 61.
Good Lord. That's embarrassing stuff. Well, I mean, if we hit 39 more in the next minute, but that's probably not going to happen.
Nah, they don't get that anyway.
Oh, that offer's off the table.
Off the table.
All right, fair enough. Let's give it a whirl.
All right, I'll shoot you a message in Discord. Congratulations.
All right, we do this every single Wednesday. We give away a week free of RotoGrinders Premium. All you got to do is jump in the Discord and just hit the avatar when producer Steve drops it. Yes, the allegations are being dropped in chat that wheel was not on the up and up. You, of course, you can always go ahead and just buy. You can buy a combo. Get yourself combo first month for $79.99. That is just $15 more if you were to have PGA golf a la carte or NBA. NBA a la carte, I think, is just $5 less. So you get your first month combo, all the sports, less than $80. Go ahead and check the link in the description for that. Should mention Splash as well since I'm here. Promo code ROTO10. Use promo code ROTO10 on Splash. When you play $100 in Quick Picks, you'll get another $50. All right. I guess it's speculation time with Chicago and Boston. Boston, again, 14-point favorite here. 228 is the total. We know about Levine being out for the next, several games for Chicago. Boston, kind of up in the air when it comes to injuries. So I should clean up Chicago. Torrey Craig is still out. Kobe White also officially questionable. Seemed like he was doubtful.
No, he's in.
Oh,
will play. Yeah, he's in.
Did that just happen?
No, it happened early in the show, but now it says we'll be limited to around 25 to 28 minutes.
25 is enough, but 28, that's 29 is outrageous. Can't give him 29. Can't give him 29, but 28. Okay, so he's in. All right, I didn't see that. Okay, as far as Boston, the big one is Tatum. Tatum is questionable, and he's dealing with a knee. Horford's got a toe. It's his big toe, if that changes things for you. And then Sam Hauser, of course, he's got a hip, so he's questionable. I might be planning like I'm playing Brown either way if we don't have news in this, because I think he's fine as is and is awesome if not. And I also really like Porzingis. And he has power forward eligibility. So I think I'm planning on playing one of those two if we don't get news. And I'm curious your thoughts. We like picking on Chicago, obviously, and especially if Tatum's out. I'm not expecting Tatum to play. I would say it's like 60-40 out. But
Did you say Porzingis has power forward eligibility?
Is that on FanDuel?
He does not.
That's on FanDuel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got my sites mixed up. I'm sorry. Yes.
Because that makes a really big difference there.
Yeah.
That's why I was. Yeah. Okay.
Because he's got he's 6'9" on DK. It's like, man, I want to play Porzingis. But again, this is why I'm probably not playing a lot of Diabate.
Right. Yeah.
Again, not saying he's a bad play. It's just if I can only have two, it's the old opportunity cost. But Jaylen Brown is the guy I'm likely to kind of pencil in, who's good. He can become great against Chicago if Tatum's out. And I think it's a little bit better than a coin flip he's out. My guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so I saw Derek talking about this in chat, and I'm probably going to do the same thing. I'm going to put in Josh Hart, but if Tatum's out, I'm obviously going to switch to Brown. So, because I have a lot of interest, like I said, in that New York-Denver game, but the Celtics will be much, much better plays if Tatum is out. So I'll have to swap to Boston stuff.
Have we got an update on the Sim stuff? I know you're always kind of running Sims. Anything interesting of note?
I do not think that we've had an update since. So
Pacers
nothing. Nothing to update as of right now. No. I'll tell you one thing though. Did you see Bruce Brown's projection?
That's what I wanted to. Yeah. Oh boy, it's not mine. All of a sudden, Bruce Brown's chalk in the year 2025. I
think he's going to be very popular.
I don't like that. I mean, do you like a popular Bruce Brown? Yeah.
Well, we want to attack Washington.
I know.
And we can do it pretty cheaply. So
he is cheap.
Yeah, we just got a Sims update. We are not projecting him to start. We have Agbaji starting.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna rerun Sims, Dean.
Okay. The other guy we kind of glossed over. We talked about Halliburton, but Pascal Siakam at 7.5 on DK is looking really, really good. He's hitting a lot of the stuff I'm running. And on FanDuel, he looks great as well at 7.9. Even 7.9, he's hitting stuff. So, yeah. You like Pascal more than you like Halliburton?
I mean, I know I'm supposed to say that I like Pascal more, but I'm not sure if I actually do. I think I still like Halliburton more.
They're asking in the chat about McConnell. Like the path is a little clearer for him.
He's up to 22-minute projection. It's decent. There's just so many guys in that. Like you're not going to play McConnell over Jerome. There's so many guys in this kind of like low 4K range. I can't see myself clicking on McConnell.
How many times does he outscore Jerome? Once out of 7, maybe? Once out of 6?
That's basically what I was going to say. I was going to say 1 out of 6, but I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. It's a really interesting, like it's a straight pivot, right? McConnell's 4.1. Jerome is 4.4. Yeah. I mean, and then you can be just chalk city after that if you want to do something like that. But I don't think I want to do that. But I respect it if you do. I respect that move. Chicago, did you talk about the Bulls?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in the Bulls now that White is in. It's a really, really brutal matchup. They're 13 or 14 point underdogs. It's not really a side that I want to attack. So I guess really no. I don't have much interest in Chicago at all.
By the way, Boucher did get a bump up to 20 minutes. I saw they're asking about Boucher in chat. Yeah, and he's power forward, not just center. 20 minutes against Washington for Boucher. I think he's got to be. He's definitely in my pool. And Mr. Richards asking single entry. I don't think that's the worst idea. Like if I'm talking,
I don't think it's that bad, Richard. If you want to do that,
I'm okay with it. I might do it. I'm not saying I will. Make my lineups after the show. We got about 10 minutes until crunch time comes strolling in. Roth, Taylor Smith, Kirkwood, Kirkdiese as well. Are we done with Boston, Chicago? Like it's kind of like wait and see. But I'm leaving some spots. I'm leaving at least once. I want to play.
Yeah.
I think I want to play Brown as the guy.
Yeah.
I think that's the guy I want. 7-6 is a really appealing price. We have Kawhi going back to San Antonio. San Antonio back in our lives. So it feels like we haven't seen them play in a while. Of course, they had those games over in Paris. 221 is the total. The Clippers are 4-point favorites. Who's in, who's out for this one? Well, we have, let's see, I have the wrong game pulled up. San Antonio, I think it's nothing new, right? There's nothing new. Yeah, nothing new either one of these teams. Chris Dunn is out for the Clippers, but yeah, nothing new. Also, we got to note that Castle will still be starting. We're assuming that means that Sohan is coming off the bench once again. Speaking of players that aren't really going to get played, I don't think Wemby's going to be played.
Nobody's going to be playing Wemby.
Yeah.
If I go that high though, I'm going to take a chance on Jokic. So I'm not clicking on Wemby either.
Yeah. But you're not telling anybody that they can't do it, of course.
You can absolutely always play Wemby anytime.
I'm afraid I'm not playing players from these next two games.
I have no interest in the Clippers outside of maybe Harden and large field, but with Kawhi back, this kind of saps the value or the ceiling of the Clippers here.
So Kawhi is 6'9" on DK, but he's 6'4" on FanDuel. I think he's really playable on FanDuel. I like that price a good bit on FanDuel at 6'4". But probably wouldn't get there 6'9" on DK.
Have you read anything? Is he going to get like 30 minutes now?
We're still at 27 is the projection.
We're still 27.
Okay. He jumped to 27 is the latest jump. So that's I think they even said like he's getting a jump, and the jump was the 27. So gotcha. I don't know if another jump is coming tonight. You never really know. Back in San Antonio, but I think 27 minutes for FanDuel, if that's what you're going to give him, that's what we're going to give him at 6'4" is pretty good. But I wouldn't expect any more than that. Is it possible? Sure, I guess. But I'm kind of with you. I'm not really playing this game. And again, I wouldn't say you can't play Harden. Like Wemby, we have at 7% on DK. On FanDuel, he's not going to get played. Well, actually, in FanDuel, he's power forward eligible too. 7% there as well. But, and I think he had that 9-block game against the Clippers earlier in the year. And that's when, you really get loose when it comes to the blocks on FanDuel at 3 points per. Okay, let's talk about the last game, the hammer game, that is Dallas and New Orleans. There are 2 8:00 games. This is the other one. 233 is the total. It's high and tight, right? New Orleans just a 1-point dog here versus Dallas. Maybe Kyrie is like the sneaky stud that's not going to get played tonight that maybe we should consider playing. Obviously, same deal here that's been for a while. No Luka. Exum might be coming back soon. For what it's worth, he's officially doubtful now. We just haven't seen him. Kleber is done probably for the year. Lively done for a while. Marshall is questionable. Powell is out. So you want another center? You know another center to consider? I think Gafford is an awesome play. I really, really do. I just don't know how I'm going to get there. But if I land on Gafford, he just works my build. Sure, of course. New Orleans, Jordan Hawkins. He's ill. He had the fist. He's not playing basketball tonight. Murray is good to go with his elbow. Herb, he's out. BI, he's out. That is your update for the Pels. Yeah, man. You're supposed to get over, is it 4% for real? You're supposed to get over 4% in tournaments. You're running 150. But I'm having a hard time. PJ Washington, sure. The minutes for him have been outrageous. Gafford has been really good. But, he smashed too hard against Washington. He lost his entire fourth quarter rotation last time out. But, he's the last big man standing. We know New Orleans is they bleed in the middle as far as giving up points. They're horrific inside. That's where Gafford lives. So it feels like the double-doubles on layaway. Zion's here. He's still not getting, 27 minutes. Is that enough to get there? On this slate, for me, the answer is no. What do you got? Dallas, New Orleans.
Yeah, absolutely love Daniel Gafford. Just another one of these centers that we love today. Don't mind PJ Washington at around 15% projected ownership. Should have a pretty good minutes projection as well. So I do love streaming against the Pelicans. So it would be Washington or Gafford for me. Don't mind the Irving call in large field GPPs, but I'm not going to play him in a single entry. On the other side of this game, I really don't have any interest in the Pelicans. Zion's too expensive for me. I think Trey Murphy is too expensive also. Center is too loaded to play Nisi on this slate. So I think the Pelicans are pretty easy X out for me. Wouldn't mind maybe getting to some DeJounte Murray in large field, but I would do that a very, very, very small pinch of him.
I was wrong. I thought Tatum was going to sit and Horford was going to play. Well, we got the inverse of that. Horford's got that big toe, and I guess it's troublesome. Or maybe they're just trying to dodge a fine, and they want to keep selling this toe hurt last game. I don't know. But he wasn't on the injury report. Hauser is out and Horford is out. Tatum is in. I still like Brown. I still like Porzingis, but I was kind of banking on Tatum being out. And oh, by the way, Tatum's a really good play. Tatum's a really good play against Chicago.
I really thought he was going to sit, but I mean, Tatum is a really good play.
How does Horford and Hauser being out affect things? I guess we'll get a few more minutes of Pritchard probably.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct in saying off the top of my head that no team gives up more made threes than the Bulls? I feel like that's true.
I think that's true. They also get crushed inside.
Oh, no, that's not true. No, Chicago's been pretty. Yeah, they're more vulnerable inside. I don't know what I was. I think maybe I was thinking.
I know they get crushed on the interior.
You know what it is? I get them confused with Atlanta because of the red. I don't know why, but I've done that before. Atlanta's second worst. Washington has passed them by. But yeah, I guess Pritchard might get a little bit more run with Hauser being out, but I still like the Celtics potential blowout. Alert as well. Again, no Levine on the other side. That kind of messes me up a little bit because I really thought that we were going to see I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I'm landing now. But we do have crunch time coming in here momentarily. If there's any questions from chat, I can ask you a couple questions before they come in. But player, I don't know if you figured out your lineups just yet. I've not. I'm still going to be tinkering up to the bell for sure. Give me the player that you're most afraid of not having in your lineup.
I'm not 100% positive yet, but probably it's the bonus, and it may end up being Tatum as well.
Yeah,
pretty scared not to have him. Only 9,600 against this Bulls team.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid of not having potentially Diabate. I keep talking about getting rid of him in tournaments.
That makes sense.
A little bit afraid of that. I mean, afraid is not the right word, but if he puts up 37, I'm in trouble. Most likely.
Yes.
Derek's got a 2v2 for you. It's just for DK tournaments. Naismith and Oubre versus Lonzo Ball and Bruce Brown. You have a preference amongst that twosome?
I don't really want to play Lonzo Ball tonight, so I think it's got to be the first one. But I mean, Bruce Brown is a good play. I just don't think Ball is.
Let's see. Daniels, wants to know, does Kawhi being back hurt Harden or Powell?
It's Powell.
Yeah. Well, I think he was asking, or both possibly, but yeah. I think he probably hurts them both incrementally, but Powell more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a question earlier, power rank the center position. I think that's really, really tough, and a good question also.
I think Joe Val's my favorite, all things considered.
Me too. I think he's my favorite also.
Yeah. We're talking tournament, obviously.
Yeah. So Joe Val, for Jakob Poeltl, for me, I think is a fantastic play. He might be my second guy. Gafford, probably.
Cat, Joker.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that conversation.
Yep.
I would say Boucher's lurking, but I'm gonna play him a power forward if I'm gonna play him.
Well, let's not forget about Porzingis lurking at 3% projected ownership.
Oh my God, nobody's gonna play him.
Nobody's gonna play him.
And we've kind of beat around the Pacers a couple times with them being thin. We've mentioned Halliburton. We've mentioned Pascal. Have we talked about the speedometer, the odometer, Miles Turner?
I can't click on Miles Turner tonight. I'm fine if people want to try it, but
yeah,
center is just so loaded.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Give me the player that's breaking the slate as we segue to crunch time coming in here. Who's breaking the slate tonight, Tim?
One guy that's not really going to be that chalky, I would say, is Jamal Murray, and then somebody who is going to be somewhat chalky is Kelly Oubre.
All right, we got Roth hanging out in the chat. Let's have a conversation with them. Let's go ahead. Let's bring in crunch time. We got Taylor, we got Kirkwood coming in as well, and Kevin Roth holding it down for crunch time. Let's seamlessly segue right now. What's up, Roth? You said, let's see. There's a dude at center that's going to put up 80 points tonight, like he does every night. He better. You're talking about Joker, I assume. He better put up. He's got to, because it's loaded, man. If he puts up like 65, I'm not saying that's like worthless, but kind of worthless. Nah, worthless. That's fine. Doesn't inconsequential. Maybe that's a better way of saying it.
But he's not going to do that. He's going to put up like 80 or 90 fantasy points because that's what he does. So lock him in.
Producer Steve, noted Nick fan, is not happy with that take. Yeah.
By the way, I had never heard the nickname the Odometer, and I was trying to figure out. And Miles Turner being the Odometer is literally the best nickname I've ever freaking heard in my entire life.
It's very good. It's not mine.
Amazing. It's a 10 out of 10. It's
very good. Yeah. Despite that, Tim still has no interest in playing him. He wasn't won over. But we got to make that happen.
Yeah.
It's a fun one tonight, Roth. Are you playing? You're all cocky about the Joker. Yeah. Does that mean we're playing tonight?
Oh yeah, I'm playing big tonight. I had a little bit of extra time building a few lineups. I think we may go 5 or 10x my normal entries here tonight.
Can I give Roth a piece of advice?
Yeah, let's hear it.
When you have that extreme confidence, the gambling gods don't like that. I just want to tell you that. Right?
I didn't know that.
There's like a nuance to it. It's like
so you can't get cocky with the gambling gods.
He's gonna bust now.
The nuance is they don't exist, but
no, they exist.
Well, if you want to see it, you can see it, but fair enough. Taylor, gambling gods, do they exist or no? You're the voice of reason.
He knows.
He's muted. The gambling gods.
I was muted.
Gambling god, unmute him.
I think, obviously not, but I do feel like whenever I feel great about what I'm playing is when it goes worst and vice versa. So there's something to that. I don't know if it's quantifiable, but it's a thing.
All right. I don't know.
We quantified it over at the dew point model. But I can't release it.
Taylor, a confirmed fence rider. He just talked out of both sides of his mouth, but that was the appropriate answer. You didn't want to take a stand. I get it. Tim, anything else we get out here?
We're good.
That is Tim Buell. I was Dean. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Do not go anywhere. You got 37 minutes of crunch time. You got Taylor and you have Kirkwood holding it down, and Roth giving you some hot takes. Not just Joker, but I'm sure there's more coming. Roth, take it away.
Little Halliburton. That's my hot take number 2. Thank you to Dean and the crew. Good stuff as always. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. It's crunch time. You know the drill. We're going to take you up 2 lock. We might take you a little bit through lock. We'll go through FanDuel, DK, and of course, we're going to answer all your questions as well. 2 of the sharpest minds in the industry joining me, Chris Kirkwood, Juggalo Nation, rise up. What up, Kirkwood? How are you?
Yes, you're down with Juggalo Nation. I love it. I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited. This is a fun slate. It's a good night, so I'm pumped, and I feel like we're going to win some money. How about you?
I hope so, because I had Anthony Davis everywhere last night, and I need to recoup that.
Okay. And I see how you didn't get overconfident because you don't want to besmirch the gambling gods.
It's a fine line. I have to feed around. Being a tout, it's tough, because people like the conviction plays, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want to anger the gambling gods. We got Taylor Smith in the house as well. Taylor, what up, man? How are you?
Doing pretty well. It is a fun state. We don't have a lot of news left, thankfully. Most of it's kind of come in already, so it should be somewhat calm, but there's always the potential for something really dumb to happen, so be on alert.
You never know. Shenanigans are common here in NBA, so we'll be monitoring any starting lineups, any news that breaks, of course, while we kind of go through things. But let's just dive into the old slate here, Taylor. You can either give me a rundown on what's happened and what we're waiting for, or you can just dive in with a little FanDuel GPP action at point guard.
Yeah, so like I said, we're not really waiting on much. There's a little bit of Indiana stuff, like they're without Mathurin and Nembhard. The Hornets are a big one without LaMelo. Mark Williams, of course, Brandon Miller's still out for the season. So there's value on those teams. I guess we're waiting on Josh Hart, which would be big, but I feel like he's not likely to miss, but we'll find out during the show, I would imagine. And then Cleveland without Darius Garland, that's another big one too that we'll get into.
Okay. Start me off at FanDuel with point guard, Taylor.
So without Garland, we think Ty Jerome is likely to start. You see him with the expert tags there in HQ, just a great per minute guy so far this season. Obviously playing mostly off the bench. If he starts, he might lose some usage with Mobley and Mitchell and Allen and stuff, but cheap, great play, awesome cash play, obviously still in tournaments. I will be probably over the field on him, just too cheap. The Nembhard thing is big because he's a starter, and then Mathurin, 2 starters down for Indiana. TJ McConnell, another value point guard to consider, very similar to Jerome, just a good per minute guy who's cheap. Halliburton gets a bump in this situation as well. He's 8-4 on FanDuel. I think that's a really good price tag on him. Center's the most loaded position on this slate, but there still is quite a bit of value at point guard as well. Jamal Murray is a decent play. Kyrie Irving, if you want to spend money in tournaments, I don't hate. I like the spot for Tyler Hero, and 8-2 on FanDuel is pretty light for him without Jimmy Butler. Misic is more of a thing on FanDuel at 4-8, presumably starting for LaMelo, but never feel great about him. So if he's going to be owned quite heavily, which it looks like he might be, I'm not super into that. And then other than that, it's like tournament stuff: Mitchell, Jordan Poole, James Harden, Malik Monk. But I think Jerome's really the one you definitely want to have.
Okay, Kirkwood, I'll bring you in here. Ty Jerome and
Ty Jerome and TJ McConnell. So I like TJ McConnell, and although the minutes side is for Jerome with their bench thinned out the way that they are, but the thing about TJ McConnell is I'm only seeing like 22 to 24 minutes projections. He has some massive steal games, and what do you know? Detroit, 27th in opponent steals per game. And so this is a good matchup for him in general. I also like Halliburton too. And I also love Siakam too. But I'm starting to, it's tempting I'm starting to see whether I'm going to play Jerome and McConnell or play McConnell over Jerome, even though the minutes are lower. But other than that, I like guys like, I like Donovan Mitchell. You have to mind him. I think this will be a decent game. Tyrese Maxey is an absolute beast, even on back-to-backs, just with everybody out. Jamal Murray is a really solid play, I think. I'm starting to like Cade more and more as a bring back in this game with the Pacers guys, and then I kind of like DeJounte Murray a little bit.
Okay. I really like the TJ McConnell call. I may make another lineup just to jam him in because I think what you said makes a lot of sense there. Kirkwood, take me to shooting guard.
All righty. So shooting guard, we've got Halliburton, probably the strongest play overall. Donovan Mitchell again. We do have some value. Now this guy has busted. It's not the greatest matchup, but it's not a bad matchup with Brooklyn these days with who they're playing. Nick Smith Jr. is the guy. Busted a lot of lineups the other night, and but I'm fine with him. He's a shooter. He can get rolling, with the way he's getting a bunch of minutes with what's his name, Brandon
Miller.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Brandon Miller out for a while, so like him, just kind of helps overall builds. Koulibaly is pretty good. To see if you want to save some money. Jaylen Brown was going to be mega chalk if Tatum doesn't play, but he's going to go down now. In this, and they're still thinned out, and Boston's playing terrible. I don't even trust them to blow out the Bulls even without Zach LaVine right now. Roth, Tatum is back to beta Tatum, and it kills me.
Yeah,
it kills me. Like he roped me in again at the beginning of the season, and with the whole Kerr stuff and everything, came out strong, and now he's back to his old ways. Trey Murphy, Kelly Oubre, and maybe some Jordan Poole.
Okay. I saw my guy Amen Thompson absolutely embarrass you, your whole squad, especially I think Jaylen Brown on the final play of the game. How'd you feel about it?
He pushed off, but Amen played a great. I think they played terrible. I think Jaylen Brown couldn't. I think Jason Tatum didn't score a single point at halftime. Not a single freaking point. What star in the NBA does that? There are none. And then Jaylen Brown had the worst fourth quarter I've ever seen him play almost. And then they lost by 2. They should have won that game. But you know what it is? That's everybody's Super Bowl. That's everybody's NBA finals coming here to Boston. And it just shows that we don't really have to care that much at this point.
All right. That's fair. Taylor, what are you doing at shooting guard?
Yeah, it's a lot of the same things. I do like the Nick Smith call. 4-3 on FanDuel is pretty cheap. Koulibaly, decent mid-range play. Like that game in general. Washington, Toronto. Oubre is over 7K, which is a lot, but without Embiid, without George, without Jared McCain and whoever else, he's playing huge minutes. Rebounding in particular very well lately. So even at 7-2, I think he's a pretty strong play on FanDuel. Trey Murphy and Jaylen Brown in the mid-range look great. Murphy's going to be, I think, more popular on FanDuel than on DK, but like him quite a bit on both. Kyrie, like I said, as a spend, a bit cheaper on FanDuel than DK, and then Halliburton at 8-4 is probably the best overall play there.
Okay, that brings us to small forward. Taylor, what are you doing there?
So Miles Bridges is kind of the chalk here without LaMelo and Miller, 7,700, pretty good price. Decent enough matchup, obviously, in the Tank Bowl against Brooklyn. Scotty Barnes, I love. Toronto has injury news. They're playing the Wizards. He's been phenomenal. Priced up, but maybe not enough. Just an awesome play, even at nearly 10K on FanDuel. Koulibaly mentioned. Oubre, Bruce Brown with Grady Dick out, 5K flat. Kind of pricey, but he's been playing well anyway. The minutes have already been on the rise, so still a strong value even at a higher price point. I think Neesmith is interesting as a punt if he starts. He's been kind of limited, but they're thin on bodies on the wing. He's 3'9". If it's kind of a last piece thing, I think he's pretty interesting also. And then I do think you can play Kawhi at 6'4" on FanDuel. Minutes have been on the rise a little bit. Still probably not going to play 30, but 6,400 is pretty cheap for him.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Kirkwood, your thoughts on small forward?
You know who my favorite small forward plays is on FanDuel tonight? Coincidentally, Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
He really is. This is a perfect bounce back spot against a bad team where he has to put it on his shoulders and win the game, and they don't cover the spread, and it's a closer game than everyone thought. And he puts up a big stat line. I mean, he better after that performance the other night. You just put together 4 quarters. That's all I'm asking. Scotty Barnes. This game is a fantasy goldmine. Toronto, Washington. Although Toronto's been playing a little better as of late, but still like this for DFS purposes. So Scotty Barnes definitely up there. Miles Bridges with Charlotte. He's just constantly crushing. I do like Jaylen Brown. Obviously, I don't want to play Brown or Tatum, but I prefer Tatum, but will play some Brown because I think a lot of people are going to get off of him now who were planning on playing him. Kelly Oubre, Trey Murphy, and God, for that, you know how we've been saying he's back in our lives. Bruce Brown has been earning more minutes with Toronto and has been doing pretty well, and he's only 5K. So if you need like a 5K large field type of play, he's one of them.
Okay. Power forward, Kirkwood.
All right. Sorry. Power forward. Okay. Again, it's Miles Bridges, but actually my favorite, it's between Siakam and Tatum. Price difference there. Steals are what helps Siakam get off to big games too as well. I think he's going to be doing a lot of the ball handling tonight. With only other real competition is Tatum on the high end, and then the real high end is Wemby, who, I always love Wemby. He's absolutely crushed the Clippers. I don't know if we have enough glaring value to play him, but he's going to be sub 10% owned, and I feel like you should always have at least double of under 10% owned Victor Wembanyama. And then like Scotty Barnes, like PJ Washington, and on the Taylor.
Okay. Taylor, your thoughts at power forward?
Yeah, Barnes and Bridges over here also. Siakam, love that call with Indiana kind of popping now. Porzingis is okay. Chicago, one of the better matchups you can get. So even in his semi-limited minutes with Boston pretty healthy, I still think he's a good play. Mentioned Kawhi. Love the Wemby call even at 12K. Like on FanDuel, he scores really well with the steals and blocks being worth 3. Neesmith, I mentioned. Sabonis is in an awesome spot against Yabusele and no Embiid, no Drummond. So he can put up 30 points and 40 rebounds probably. It's within his range of outcomes. That probably does it. There's a lot to like.
Rebounds? Did I hear 40? Yeah.
40 rebounds.
40?
Yeah.
Probably.
The classic 30-40 line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other names at power forward, or you want to move to center?
I think you can play Justin Edwards for Philly, like Mega Chalk last night, not going to be owned at all tonight. I think he's essentially the same play he was yesterday. So pretty good value that's going to be very low owned, it looks like.
How about center? What do you got there?
So this is stacked. Valanciunas, I don't know if we have that yet, but assuming he's starting for Star, is going to be the best cheap center on the slate by a mile. 5,200, just a great play. Diabate is cheaper at 4-1. He's not starting. Taj Gibson is starting again for some reason, but we saw Diabate come off the bench to still do well the other night. Not as into it. I mean, he took 2 shots the other night and still got there. Like, he just doesn't get any usage. So not a safe play, especially given the strength of center. But if you need to punt it, I think it's fine. Similar for Chris Boucher without Olynyk.
I will interrupt you briefly just to say Joe Val is starting officially.
Okay, good. Yeah, so he's awesome. I'd much rather play him than Diabate for the extra salary you have to spend. And then beyond that, it's the same stuff. Wemby, Jokic, Sabonis, Porzingis for me.
Also seeing Okaji is starting. I don't know if that was planned, but I just pulled him out of a lineup. Should I unpull him out of a lineup briefly, Taylor?
I think he's a pretty good play. He's going to be really popular, but yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Kirkwood, your thoughts there at the center spot, and then we'll move on to DK.
Yeah, so I like J-Val's fine. I'm a little worried about his minutes, but he's starting, so that's cool. It's a good game. I actually like Jakob Poeltl better on the other side of that. I think he could go off and nuke. Yeah, I think that there's just too much opportunity cost tonight at center for Diabate. He doesn't do much. He does the defensive stats. He gets some rebounds and putbacks and things like that. And he'll actually shoot. He'll try to shoot a three, but not a high usage guy. So I'm probably be lower on him. I do still like Daniel Gafford, who's just been crushing. And I'm going to see 30 plus minutes. So that's good. If Roth, how many points you said Joker's putting up? 80?
80. Yeah.
Okay. So 80 at 12.9 is worth it. So I'm going to have to say some Joker. Zubac. And wow, they priced up poor man's Wemby is up to 7K now in Kalaware.
Okay. But still doable, you think, at that point, or no?
I'd rather play Porzingis for like 7,400.
Yeah.
Rather play Pirtle for 7,300. I'd take a step back on this one tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Guys, we want to kick it to DK before we do that. We want to make sure you're getting the best deal in the industry. And this is it right here. For a limited time, you get your first month of Combo Pro for $79.99. That's $15 more than PGA Premium. That's $5 more than NBA Premium. That is the kind of value that you're searching for in DFS. So make sure you are signing up for RG Combo Pro. Let's dive into DK. Kirkwood, you get to lead us off over there.
All right. No funny business with positions either here. We're doing point guard like the normal way, okay?
Okay, I like it. We got plenty of time. Let's do it.
Ty Jerome again. Cheap. Should, play 30 plus minutes against Miami. That's fine. 4,400 is the key there. So he's solid play. Love Scotty Barnes. Probably would play him at the small forward position. Love Tyrese Halliburton. Love Tyrese Maxey. Love Jamal Murray. Those would be my top guys. TJ McConnell, I told you he's right there. I consider playing him more than playing Ty Jerome, even though less minutes for sure. It's what he does in those minutes. Good chance of a game, like I said. Donovan Mitchell in play, Harden in play, Brunson in play, but that core five guys that I started with are really what I'm looking at.
Okay. Taylor, your thoughts at point?
Yeah, Jerome and McConnell look awesome. I like Brunson a lot in tournaments tonight. I think Towns is also great in that Denver game, but Brunson's not really going to be popular at all, I wouldn't think. Malik Monk in the 7K range looks decent. Scotty Barnes, you're definitely playing at small forward, given the weakness of small forward compared to point guard. Fox is kind of cheap. The trade thing might be weird, but 8K is light for him. Hero a bit more expensive on DK, but I would still get a little bit of that in tournaments. And then that's really it. Like Murray's okay. Cade Cunningham always fine, but not dying to pay for him tonight with center being so deep.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, what are we doing at shooting guard?
So Nesmith and Bruce Brown look like great values. Both Bruce Brown's not starting, but Nesmith is at 3-3 guard forward eligible. Just a super easy punt. Minute should come up for him. Nick Smith, 5K flat's fine. Jaylen Brown looks great at 7-6. I mentioned Oubre only 6-1 on DK. I like Trey Murphy a lot in tournaments at 7-7. And then beyond that, you're just kind of throwing darts. I guess you can punt with Strus, with Merrill and Garland out, but much prefer Brown and Nesmith if I'm going all the way down.
Okay, Kirkwood, shooting guard.
All right. Kelly Oubre. I liked him a lot last night, and I played him over Maxey. Maxey went absolutely berserk, and I liked Maxey too. But I feel like there's a good – Maxey went all out in that game if anyone watched it. So this could be a good night for Oubre to step on it. 6,100 is good, solid price tag. Jamal Murray is another great play at 7,300. He's just too cheap. It's always him and Joker. I like Aaron Naismith. I like. I'm worried about his minutes a little bit because they've been holding him back. He's been coming back. I don't know how much on the what he could actually reach on the high end. But he's 3,300 and he shoots threes and plays good D. So yeah, he's a solid play even at like 25 minutes, which each of those would be a great play at. Malik Monk in play. Jaylen Brown, Trey Murphy. Peyton Pritchard. You can play Pritchard in this spot against the Bulls for sure. Especially if the blowout angle potential, with their bench a little thinner. They've been experimenting with a lot of their bench lately. And if if you put Peyton on the floor with them, he's gonna take every shot. So like that. And nobody's gonna play him tonight. This is my tiny hands play of the night, and this is D'Angelo Russell.
Why is it your tiny hands play of the night? Did I miss something here?
Yeah, it's stupid. No, we were talking on the show. We did the show last night, and I was talking about. Did you see when Brady called Eckler tiny hand? He said he's got small hands.
No.
He was in the broadcast, like he was broadcasting. He's like, Eckler, it's too bad he's got small hands. Led to the drop there. It was like, how do you come back from that?
That's terrible. Calling somebody out like that. All right. Okay. So your tiny hands play of the day, to be clear. Could you repeat it one time? I got distracted.
D'Angelo Russell.
Thank you. All right. Take my good hand. All right. Let's go to small forward, I believe, Kirkwood.
All right. I mean, you got a tiny hands play tonight. I pray this goes off. So I'd like to keep it going. Jason Tatum is my number 1. Scotty Barnes is my number 2. Naismith for the value if you need it at 3,300. Justin Edwards is another solid value play again for Philly at 3,900. So we do have, and Okogie as well, getting a bunch of minutes and being really trying to make his case for being able to score and get a lot of defensive stats. He's just looking for more opportunity to play, and he's getting it. And he's projected for like 28 to 30 minutes. So like him for cheap. RJ Barrett could go off against Washington. Wouldn't shock me whatsoever. Josh Hart, 7,700 is pretty reasonable for the things that the way he's been playing. And then another, I guess I'll go to Max Strus if I needed another little revenge spot against Miami.
Okay, good stuff.
Wow, Tiny Hands Nation. Do you want to be a part of Tiny Hands? That's what's going on in chat now.
Yeah, I want to be in Tiny Hands Nation without a doubt. Taylor, let's kick it to you. What are you doing? Oh no, look at this. When the Tiny Hands play the night doesn't hit. What are we doing at small forward, Taylor? What are your favorites there?
Yeah, all the same guys. Scotty and Tatum on the high end, Brown and Murphy and Hart in the mid range. I guess Barrett also, like, it's kind of rich in the 7 to 8 range, like that quite a bit. Neesmith, Okogie, if you're going down. Nick Smith, still okay. And then DeRozan is only 6'5". He's been really bad, but taking flyers on these guys whose salaries plummet, who still have ceiling, makes a lot of sense in tournaments. So 65 DeRozan against Philly, I think, is a pretty interesting play.
Can I play Kawhi? Like, you look at his minutes are going up, his price is going down. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where he's worthy. Is this the point or no?
Probably not on DK. I mentioned him on FanDuel where he's a little bit cheaper, 6,900. I just think the guys for 1,000 more are a lot better. Murphy, Hart, Barrett, Brown. So probably not for me, unless you want to play the revenge factor, which is probably worth no points.
Not for him. He's a robot. He has no emotion, so I don't buy it. Okay, power forward, Taylor. What do you like there?
Yeah, Okogie, Tatum, Chris Boucher, I mentioned being a pretty decent cheapie at 4K flat. PJ Washington is 7K, so kind of up toward his ceiling, but matchup against New Orleans is still a good one, so I don't mind paying it. Siakam at 7.5, maybe a little bit more stable. I think Zion is still playable. Like, he's limited to under 30 minutes a game, but he still smashes every single night. Dallas with just Gafford in there, he's a good rim protector, but beyond that, they really have nothing. So I still think Zion is in your player pool at 8.6 if you're entering a lot of lineups. And then I guess Mobley maybe, but he's been a bit limited. Even without Garland, I'm not super into it against Miami.
The Zion numbers are insane. Like, in what he does in 26, 27 minutes is absolutely outrageous.
The thing is, though, with him, they leave him out there with the scrubs. If they just get him his minutes, like if the game's blown out and it's like all scrubs, it's all scrubs and Zion.
Okay,
it's pretty funny.
All right,
well, that's a good thing for DFS.
Right.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think that takes us to you, Kirkwood. Your thoughts at power forward.
Yeah, I'm coming in strong with a Supercuts fade of the day play, and that is going to be Kyle Kuzma on the Washington-Toronto game. I just like that game. And the other one who's a little out there play, Chris Boucher. Just give him some minutes in this game against Washington, and 4K will look like nothing. So like those guys.
Okay, so to be clear, the Supercuts fade of the day is not someone you're fading, but rather someone you like.
Correct. They're supposed to be a fade, but instead in Supercuts, people don't. You know what I mean? They doesn't have a great reputation.
I'll go with it. All right.
So the Supercuts fade.
Oh, that's nice.
I got this today. Missing chunks over here.
Oh, I was thinking it looked pretty good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I mean, it's not bad for where I'm cutting it. It wasn't bad.
For $13, man. How much was it for real? 20, 25?
22.
Yes.
And I gave $7.
Yeah. Well, that's kind.
Solid tip.
Yeah, that's solid. I feel like $5 would have done.
I go 5 if it's the worst haircut. I go 5 every time. So if it's the worst haircut, I give him 5. But if it's better than like the worst, I'm like, okay, this is not the worst I've ever seen. I give him 7.
And so, do you ever get to see that person again, or you just go back and get a random?
I've never had the same person twice because I don't. It's not. That's the thing. So I had to drop my kid off at group play today, and I had 2.5 hour. I went grocery shopping, and it was right next to the grocery store, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a haircut here.
Yeah, Supercuts fade of the day. All right.
Anyway, the other Siakam, Tatum, Bridges. Am I on the same? Am I in the right position here?
I think so.
Okay.
Power forward.
Yeah, power forward. Yep. Bam. Don't mind. I think that'll be a pretty good game. Miami, Cleveland, and Zion. You can play Zion. No, 8,600. That's fine. I like that, and Hart too.
Okay. Center.
All right. Center it is. J-Val, little scary, but it's his price, his point per minute. This matchup, he should be solid at 5,400. The Joker, obviously, love him. Little pricey, but I think he should abuse the Knicks. Wemby, better pricing here on DraftKings. However, you don't get all the full point potential with the stocks, but and he's smashed against the Clippers already. So like that. Hurdle I like, Sabonis I like. Philly had a tough spot last night without any bigs, and now they're on a back-to-back and don't have much for bigs. And so I think Sabonis triple-double easy tonight. Calling that. So that's my Supercuts triple-double tonight.
Okay. Again, I don't think that one makes any sense, but that's fine. We'll roll with it.
We're seeing these are bits. We're trying to see what works, not works. Yeah. We're testing it out.
Like the Supercuts fade.
I said fade because it was the fade of the hair.
I know, but it makes sense as a person you would be fading, a chalk guy.
So you know what we can do? So we can change it. I'll keep that in mind, and we'll see what Chad thinks.
It's good if it's a fade. Yeah, like it makes a lot of sense. It's confusing if it's someone you want.
That's all I'm saying. Taylor, your thoughts at center?
Yeah, Valanciunas and Diabate if you want to go down. Boucher also, but power forward eligible. Jokic and Kat are my favorite on the high end. Sabonis not far behind. I'm trying to force Wemby in the lineups just because I don't want to fade him completely. I think Khalil Ware is still playable at 6'2" on DK. Porzingis under 7K also don't mind. And then Miles Turner, 6,100. Duran doesn't want to come out of the paint. I'm okay with it at 6'1".
Do I have tiny little hands?
Oh, you kind of look like you do.
I might be a member of Tiny Hand Station. I don't know. We've got like 7 minutes here.
It's where you know. See, I got huge hands.
See, that's why I pulled them all the way back to make them look extra tiny. We've got about 7 minutes until lock. Let's dive into it, ladies and gents. Get your QQs in. As always, I'm starting with the RotoGrinders Discord because that's where the cool kids hang out. I say that, but actually I didn't have my Discord pulled up. So I'm starting in the YouTube, and I will quickly get to the RG Discord as well. Let's see if we've got any QQs. Judy says FanDuel single entry Kirkwood, Barnes and Joval, or Siakam and Pirtle.
Wow, that's really close. So I would go what did they say? Single entry?
Yep, FanDuel single entry, Barnes, Joval, Siakam, Pirtle.
I love them both. I'll take the second just because of probably a little bit less ownership, I would think.
Okay. Negative Creep says, can you palm a basketball? I can. but I can't do the Michael Jordan with it. If I move at all, it's falling out. So it just has to stay there. I got it for like 30 seconds. Strus or Braun? Are these real plays tonight? Strus or Braun, DKGPP from T-Top. Taylor, Strus or Braun? You playing these dudes?
I think Strus is better. I'm not really into Brown today.
Okay. FanDuel single entry right back to you, Taylor. Bridges, Okaji, or RJ Barrett and Bruce Brown?
That was GPP.
It was. Yeah, it was FanDuel single entry.
I'll do the second one for GPP.
Okay. We'll go to Skotka, who says Kirkwood, Brunson, or Hero in a DKGPP?
Brunson.
Okay. I approve of that. Right back to you, Kirkwood. FanDuel GPP. Does Ricky Council meet the criteria of Supercuts fade of the day?
He doesn't quite make the cut. He's a fade though, I think.
Yeah. All right. So he may be our yeah. I lost where I'm at and got really distracted. Okay, FanDuel Cash. Here we go. Taylor, Bruce Brown, Scotty Barnes, or PJ Washington and Bridges of the Hornets variety?
I think I like the first one a little bit more. We got Jalen Tyson starting instead of Darius Garland. So Jerome will be on the bench. I think Jerome's still a good play, but I think Tyson might be playable also as a punt.
Okay. Do you prefer him to Ty Jerome?
I think I still prefer Jerome, but Tyson's a lot cheaper, different positions, so I think it's pretty viable. He's good per minute also.
Okay. And by the way, Javier said, I told you all Tyson from the beginning. Check the chat. He did. I will confirm I saw him say Tyson at the very beginning of the show. So there you go, Javier. Good call. Taylor, I'm playing this dude Prosper on the Mavs, which I think is a bad play. Did he only get run because it was a blowout last game? I saw he had like 30 minutes. I got all excited. But that's not going to happen again, huh?
He's started on occasion recently with the injuries. I just don't think he needed it. I think Tyson's probably a better play at this point.
So that's why I was asking. All right, I'll probably swap him out and jam in a little bit of Tyson in that spot. Let's see what else we've got. Gamble says Kirkwood. Actually, he says, hey, Taylor, Siakam, Miles Bridges, or Okaji Barnes? It's FanDuel single entry. Siakam, Miles Bridges, or Okaji Barnes?
Second one.
Okay. Large field DKGPP Kirkwood, Khalil Ware, or Bam?
I'd go Bam tonight. I think Khalil Ware is not going to have a great night tonight. I think he's amazing. I just don't think this is his matchup.
Okay, fair enough. DK Cash, Kirkwood, right back to you. Bruce Brown and Siakam, or Barnes and Okaji?
Wow, that's close too. I'll go Barnes and Okaji.
Okay. Wendy in the chat, Wendy's Balls would like to inform me that Prosper sucks. And I'll leave it at that. So thank you. I will not play him. I will take him out. Let's see what else we've got. Jumping into the YouTube. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube and you're trying to remember how much you paid for this show, it's free. And all that we ask is you hit that thumbs up. It's right down there somewhere on your screen. So hit that thumbs up for us. Darren says, Taylor, FanDuel Cash, Okaji Mitchell, or Tatum and Smith Jr.?
I would go Tatum Smith Jr.
Do I have to make this Prosper swap to Tyson now, or do I have 30 minutes?
I think you have time, so you're good.
Cool. Because I was going to be a really bad host for the next 2 minutes while I tried to figure that out. Jackson Carr says, Taylor, DKGPP, Fox and Gafford, or Joval and Sabonis?
Second one, Joval Sabonis.
Yeah. DK Cash question for you. This is coming from Matt Smith, Kirkwood, Pascal, and Nick Smith, or Miles Bridges and Okaji. It is DK Cash.
I'm all over Pascal tonight, so I'm going to say that Pascal and Nick Smith.
Yeah. Okay. Javier says, Kirkwood, who we play in Indy? Walker, Topping, Naismith?
Naismith, TJ McConnell, and Pascal Siakam or Hallie. That's
Very
what I'm
good.
playing.
Yeah. Scrolling down. Thoughts on Siakam and Cash, Taylor?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Joey says, any interest in Rashawn Holmes with Joe Val probably at 22 minutes?
Very deep, large field tournament play, but not the worst thing.
Eric says Tyson Chandler.
Tyson Chandler.
And what the fact that who are the Hornets? Who are the Hornets starting?
Taj Gibson.
Taj Gibson would make this. Tyson, he was in the same era. They were
Right.
We'd be playing them together back in the day.
That's fair. Mr. Owen also pointing out my horrible Dallas play that was already horrible is extra horrible because Najee Marshall is back tonight. So it's doubly, the Prosper play is doubly as bad as it already was. And it was already pretty damn bad. DKGPP, Tyson or Naismith? Kirkwood. Less than a minute is a lot.
I feel better about Naismith.
Okay. Eric says, I'm planting my flag on Lonzo Ball. How much is too much? Can I go 40% if I'm running 150?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. If that's your flag plant, you do it. Kirk, Ty Jerome versus Micic on Yahoo. I guess we'll just assume they're the same price. I don't know.
I unfortunately have Ty Jerome. But I wouldn't play. I can't stomach watching a game with Micic ever again. I've done enough of that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not for me.
I'm glad to say I have never seen him play because it seems like not a great experience. Okay, guess what? We hit the lock. That is what we came here to do. So we're gonna bounce on out of here. I've got some lineups to tweak. For Kirkwood, for Taylor, for our wonderful production crew representing the Tiny Hands Nation all across the country and really the world, as we do have some folks outside. Oh, so tiny. They're so tiny. Guys, we appreciate you. We love it. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.